right. Cool. So everybody, my guest today is Vitali Yermakou, and Vitali is a co-founder of Smartym Pro, which is a bespoke full-cycle software development company based in Belarus. They build mobile web and blockchain apps, and they have multiple offices helping startups, but also enterprises develop software since 2012, I think. So welcome, Vitali. Thanks for stopping by.
Hello everyone.
Great. So maybe if somebody does not understand what I just said, how would you describe, like, what do you guys do? Are you a software house, software developers, or are you an agency? Do you guys have a product? How would, just like in one sentence, what do you do?
Right. I would say that we are a software development company, a one-stop company for our clients. It sounds still very cliche, but it's important way to distinguish what we do, because some of our colleagues just provide resources for the client without taking any, let's say, responsibility or even understanding what they do. They just working as a recruitment company mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, we always concentrate on the delivery result and say offering our clients as much support as possible.
Got it. And so who would you say are your kind of typical customers at this moment?
I think majority of our clients are startups, but at the same time, even if we look back, we had cases when we worked with enterprises, but they wanted to try out the idea, create an MVP. So that was also some, let's say, startups within enterprises.
Mm-hmm. And how big is the company at the moment, employee-wise?
Roughly 56 of us, 56.
Mm-hmm. So I assume that almost every company that does software development starts with like a technical founder who then finds somebody who he partner with. So you're a co-founder, but how did you become a co-founder? How did that happen? Or how did you start within the company?
Right. That was pretty interesting story. So we have a common friend, me and my partner, another co-founder of this company, which just connect us. Mm-hmm. Because both of us has a certain will and background, and we decided to launch our own company as we sort of had a vision how company should work. So it was 7 years ago. Me and my partner Sergey started as just a team of 2.5 developers. So basically what happened, my partner started as a coder, as a developer, and then there was another guy who joined us part-time, and I was responsible for everything else which is not related to development. So it was a challenge for me to to pack our services as a website, to be responsible for project negotiation, for pretty much everything. So we grew since that time. I wouldn't say that we grew massively, because it was never our goal to become a company which praise any doing. We always try to find firstly project which interesting and which we believe in, because, well, after all, it's not always about money, it's always about some strategy, right? Because we always interested in project which might bring new knowledge, new expertise to what we do, and therefore continue with that expertise, of which actually happen at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So a big problem with in your industry, because I work with a ton of software developers, is that many companies are positioned like an offshoring kind of agencies. The other ones are kind of building digital products. So how would you position your company? Because if you're kind of offshoring dev shop, then the majority of companies just compete on price, and they just go, their hourly rate, they just drop to $20 per hour or something. And if you're building products, you can charge premium. So how are you approaching this challenge of like branding the agency?
This is a challenge. I would agree with you, but I would say that this is completely, those two models are completely different, right? And we don't see any reason to combine both models, both approaches. So we still 100% service company.
Mm-hmm.
So at the same time, we sort of selling not people per hour, we selling expertise and we selling problem solvation. Because majority of project that we doing never started with the discussion that, hey, we need 5 developers of a certain skills, what the rate for those developers, let's arrange the team and that's it. Because in most cases we were approached by those who had a vision, not necessarily clear vision of the final product, but understanding of the problem that they wanted to solve. So from our side, of course, each project is different, but majority of projects started with what we called discovery stage. So pre-development activities when we involve in setting up a node development team like product manager, product owners, business analytics, designers, and technical leads who helping to shape the architecture of the future solution, create a certain backlog. So we still bring the value, extra value to the development as itself. And we think that this is the best way to survive. Financially wise, it is also a certain extra to just providing development services. So therefore, I would say that it's well approach that different from just people per hour and yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this discovery stage you just mentioned, do you charge for this? Because I know some agencies, they do it for free, and then they kind of sometimes waste time because they spend all this time thinking through wireframes and all this, and then they don't charge for it, and then the client just disappears or they don't get back to them. And some companies, they charge for this as like the initial kind of consultation or something. How do you do this then?
Right, discovery couldn't be free of charge simply because it costs thousands of just self-cost because we have a payroll and obligation, in the face of our developers and our team members. So even those companies which saying that discovery is free, then assuming that they will charge extra during the development stage and get their money back. So, well, this is how capitalism works. But at the same time, I would say that most of the project, especially when it's what we call project rescue situation, so project which were started with another team and faced a certain deadline or obstacle that they can't overcome, starting with free consultation, with review of the existing code base or existing sometimes process management, because prior to discovery stage we always try to understand what's going on client premises and
And so you've mentioned that you don't really typically do time and material or something like that. So how do you approach pricing? Do you offer, what sort of models do you offer? I know there's a fixed model, then there's a time and material, then maybe some hybrid. How do you structure your deals with clients?
As I said, the discovery stage is a big deal. So as soon as it's completed, client has very clear, well, actually both parties, we and client, has very clear vision of what will be delivered, in what time and with what effort. So therefore,
so you also include specification in that process?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
Absolutely, specification and let's say initial roadmap, saying that such and such features could be delivered on a such and such time frame.
Any designs that you include there, or some prototype?
Yes, absolutely. So the standard set, what is included in Discovery, is high fidelity visual prototype, which we're doing with InVision tool or Figma. We also deliver the technical specification, which is the job of our business analytics. So it takes usually, in my understanding, from our experience, at least a month of preparation for 3 or 4 month development scope. So something like that. And we're also doing a roadmap, which allows us to to show the client the progress, be on track, and so decrease the stress for actual development process. Yeah, so as I said, this is the way which allow us to start delivery on a fixed price. It works in most cases. In some cases, it has no sense for both parties to work as a fixed price, especially if the product or let's say the challenge that we see is unique. And in this case, we offer a team set. So it's still not a clear time material. It's rather a dedicated team. So location of a certain team for a certain period. So again, it gives transparency to our clients because they know a monthly budget for such team. So it's still pretty close to fixed price or fixed budget, if you say.
And so what is kind of, I'm pretty sure you have a tech stack that you prefer and everything like that, but how would you, what's kind of unique about the company, maybe not regarding with technology, because everybody uses certain type of technology, but how do you kind of stand out? If I were to ask 10 other agencies from Europe, I have a project, and then, I don't know, I want to build a Facebook or something. And so how do you, I know you have case studies, but maybe what else can you say about your company is kind of unique or makes you stand out against others?
Right. Originally, 7 years ago, we started with native mobile development. So in 2012, it was hype technology, and there was not many companies offering this service. So we have 7 years of expertise in native mobile, which means not only pure Android and iOS development, but also integration with IoT devices, stuff like CarPlay, and lots of other, let's say, non-typical things which related to development on Swift and Kotlin or Java. So this is like first stuff that we doing pretty well. Another thing is blockchain. So we firstly start working with blockchain in 2016, and since that time we've been involved in numerous blockchain projects, both related to cryptocurrency or not related to cryptocurrency, like enterprise blockchain development, say Hyperledger Fabric, Corda, Quorum, and other stuff, which is not about crypto, but about blockchain. And this is a very long topic, and in 2019, it's not very fashionable to talk about blockchain, but I would say that we still have a project on blockchain, and most of those projects were started as a challenge for other teams, which we, let's say, not afraid to take. And at the same time, we very transparent, and in my just in my mind, at least 10 projects related to blockchain, which we didn't start because we persuade the client that there is no need or no use of blockchain at all. So again, it's very transparent approach, and it's not only about being honest. It's also about some logic and understanding that if you agree to make a mistake together with the client, it makes no sense in long run for both.
Mm-hmm. Did you switch to React Native from the native development, or are you still building through Swift and the other?
I have a very interesting conversation with my colleagues recently in Belarus, also other Belarusian development companies. They see the decline in popularity of native development. So I would say that native development is decreasing in popularity because React, Ionic, or whatever it comes afterward become more and more convenient for development and cost effective, but still there are lots of cases when React Native doesn't work. For us, we decided to go for React Native. Of course, our expertise in React Native is not as good as in native development, but I see the so more and more requests on React Native, and in most cases it makes sense.
Are you majority of your clients from Europe or the States or Belarus? How does that work?
Well, luckily for us, we don't have internal market, so all of our clients from Western Europe or United States.
Mm-hmm.
When I say luckily for us, I mean that this is a certain standard, quality standard that you should follow. So therefore, our process of development, management, as good as Western European companies could provide. So.
Mm-hmm. And so how do they find you, these American or European guys? I know, for example, for a lot of software developers, clutch.co website is a big source of leads. You have a blog, you have content. So how do they generally find you? Or how do you find them?
Mm-hmm. For us, still the core channel of launching new project is a word of mouth. So our ex-clients or current clients, they give us recommendation, give a recommendation for, let's say, their network to work with us, because it's interesting to see how industry changing. 7 years ago, there was nothing like modern directories like Good Firms or Clutch that didn't work, but at that time Upwork and Odesk was a pretty good channel for lead generation. Now things changed, and I would say that what worked 7 years ago doesn't work at all. Even for directories like Clutch and Good Firms, I see those directories less interesting than it was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, people who go on Upwork, they don't look for quality. If I hire somebody from Upwork, I wanted the cheapest option, so I wouldn't even go there. Right. And then Clutch, you need to sponsor them and really optimize your profile, collect reviews, and have a really solid profile there to have it work, because it can be expensive and it doesn't have to really work.
It is, and sometimes it's very frustrating. I wouldn't say that it's sensitive data, but just to compare, we've spent, I can't remember the exact months, but in the springtime, when it's supposed to be a hot time for software development, so no holidays or whatever, we've spent like $3,000 on those directories. So we were on a pretty high position. At the same time, we've got just 3 or 5 relevant requests, which means hundreds for just requests which not necessarily good enough or adequate enough to be converted to a contract. Yeah. So at the same time, I remember we had more leads and more requests 2 years ago without any sponsorship at all. So maybe those channels become overheated. So maybe because other companies agree to spend even more, but it's a cold war in marketing or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the entire space is a commodity, right? Everybody can build apps, so it's really hard to stand out. It really has something. For me, the only way is to really start becoming premium and start picking a niche and just working in it, and something like that. So, what kind of verticals do you guys work in except blockchain? Maybe do you have specific industries that you focus on?
Industry-wise, majority of project that we involved related to fintech somehow. Mm-hmm. So it maybe not purely banking or classical fintech vertical, but startups which related to fintech and something like that.
Do you ever accept this inbound machine content, something like that? Do you ever do outbound? Do you have a sales team that maybe prospects some accounts, or have you tried it in the past?
Yes, for sure. Yes, for sure. I think it's still a big opportunity to create a good sales process just based on outbound. Of course, not like a spam or cold emailing, but when you see a certain value for your potential clients, you could find those clients on LinkedIn and to look for them. Look for those clients over there. So I think it's not, there is no silver bullet or something magical which might help outsourcing companies, but everyone trying their best.
We do outbound campaigns a lot for these developers, and they work sometimes, they don't work sometimes. It's all about like positioning of the company and like what is your offer, why should they even meet with you, right? And many companies make a mistake where they talk about pricing in emails and like basic stuff, so or make grammar mistakes and stuff like that, which is like very bad.
Right. And also, in my opinion, well, nevertheless, it's 2019, but offline channels of lead generation increasing their effectiveness. So we spend pretty much on broadshows, on participating in conferences, face-to-face meetings. Well,
we've just done. Go ahead.
Yeah, because it's precisely what you said. It allows you to differentiate yourself, because it's a buzz, info, noise anywhere, whether it be Upwork, Clutch, or just Google organic search. So for clients, it is hard to choose who shall they start working with. So offline meetings, face-to-face meetings, giving a speech, whatever, just the lots of options to choose from. Works better than just the classical digital marketing.
Yeah, I mean, we've done Web Summit last month. We got 28 meetings face-to-face at the Web Summit through cold outreach, but at the Web Summit. So it's like, grabbing a coffee or something. And those 28 meetings, that's most software companies can never dream of these numbers. Like most software companies get a couple of leads per month. So it's like, it's a good strategy to combine outbound with trade shows, with visits in person. Definitely a good thing. So how big is your sales team or marketing team in the company?
Let me calculate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us, I guess. Yeah.
Got it. And so when it comes to, there's always a challenge of recruitment. So how do you balance getting a new project and then quickly finding or recruiting the team? Because that's always the challenge. Like sometimes you need projects and sometimes you just need developers. I'm like always switching between these two. Do you have like some recruitment program at universities, or how do you find these people?
So yes, we have like traditional approach for recruitment. So we have 2 HR specialists which constantly monitoring the market. And at the same time, what I also see as a big potential for companies like us, no matter of their size, whether they big companies or small companies, it's a creation of network or association or partnership with other companies, especially when a certain skill set is needed. Just as an example, we had a case when we worked on a pretty massive project for over a year, and then was a necessity for our clients to build up a standalone module on .NET development language. So we don't have this expertise at all, but at the same time, we know a company which only specializes on .NET. Mm-hmm. So for us, it was a collaboration, absolutely transparent for the client. So we transparently saying that we will subcontract those works, but still we are responsible for delivery. It's not just random advertisement on the internet who could help us with the .NET development. So in my understanding, in the future, such collaboration will become a necessity, especially when, you know, some languages become obsolete. And yeah, we faced the case when we were invited to participate in development of enterprise software based on COBOL. So yeah, you should face a pretty big problem to find a COBOL developer on the market, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is one of those cases when someone could, you know, brings not only developers but a certain expertise to your projects, and such network should be alternative to traditional re-outsourcing or re-outstaffing.
Yeah, it's just really the key there is to be transparent, or somehow figure out how do you white label these things, and like how do you find these partners, whether it's like yeah, it can be a challenge, but I think, yeah, you're right. You should have like a network of maybe smaller companies that help you, or freelancers or something.
Yeah, at the same time, it also solving the, I would say, always existing problem of idle or bench, as someone call it. The case when you have developers which not involved in any current projects, and as those developers are your full-time employees, it becomes a problem. So again, when there is a trusted network of partners who could exchange some part of the projects, not necessarily the whole project, it solves this internal problem as well.
And so what's the kind of vision for you? Because as you said, it's very hard to scale a company like that, because you always have to recruit and build more people, and you have a huge overhead, and then if projects don't come in, you're then overpaying and maybe even losing money. So do you want to build a team where it's, you know, you get 500 people on the board, or do you want to spin off startups as you grow, maybe, I don't know, to 100 developers, and then spin off different products on your own, and maybe try to launch something that can, you know, be your own product? Because then you can maybe separate the companies or something.
I do believe that growing in quantity is meaningless in long-term run, and we're not planning to grow like, as you mentioned, 500 employees, whatever. So I think our next couple of year vision is to stick to the current number of employees, plus or minus, right? Well, not minus, but plus.
Yeah.
And then back our expertise into solutions. So I see clearly the need for the market in something which is not product from shelf, at the same time not a custom development, but something that in between of that. For instance, we've had a great expertise in building social apps, chats, messengers, and other means of communication. So in most cases, there is a repetitive functionality for creating another chat as a part of the application, maybe not as a core feature, but as a side feature. So it makes sense to have such solution, which could be offered not necessarily to end client, but also to our colleagues, or yeah, just to speed up the process and save the time and get something of predictable quality. So therefore, we plan to pack our expertise in complex mobile stuff or blockchain stuff to go as a solution provider.
All right. So maybe, do you have any book recommendation for somebody? Anything about not development really, because people who are listening maybe are not that familiar with development, but or they maybe are, but maybe about business or sales. Anything you'd recommend somebody?
Definitely channels like yours, and I think.
What's the name again?
Channels like yours. I mean,
okay.
Podcasts or source of information, because well, it sounds, I'm not knowledge agnostic, but general books are too generic. All of those business advices which are given by CEOs of massive enterprise, not necessarily suitable for companies like our size. So what I usually do is screening media, sales related or IT related media, especially on local markets, because yeah, this is one way. Another way which also might help is face-to-face online meeting. Even having a lunch with your colleague, which, well, some might call competitors, makes sense to get new piece of info, new food for thought. So I would definitely recommend to set up a network of colleagues if you don't have it yet.
Nice. Do you have any apps you would recommend somebody to download on the phone that make you more productive or effective? Somebody just like some simple apps on the phone, or do you don't really use any apps?
I might give another recommendation: don't use the apps, and yeah, just enjoy the moments when you could take a rest of screen. And yeah,
you're a mobile app developer. You should give recommendations. But okay, that's good advice. Right. So and maybe last one, do you have any favorite business person that you would really like to model, or do you somebody who you follow? Doesn't have to be somebody famous, but maybe somebody local, somebody who you really like, think did a great job of building a business.
Same advice. I don't think that someone has secret knowledge to follow or a role model, but it's like in a famous anecdote, to become wise, you just need to read 3 books, but in order to find those 3 books, you need to read 1,000. So yeah, stay open for everything and look for information not only in software world, but in some traditional offline and non-digitalized companies as well.
Got it. All right, perfect. Well, thank you very much for stopping by. Where would you send people if they want to ask you a question? Maybe they have a project, maybe they want to do something else. How should they connect with you?
Yeah, just visit our website, smartym.pro. You can find my personal email on the website, and we're always open for discussion. And as we said, we don't charge for consultation or external advice.
Or maybe they want to just have a lunch or something if they're from Belarus. So cool. So we also link down below your LinkedIn profile. And yeah, so thank you again for stopping by, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you, John. I hope that it was useful for your listeners, and yeah, I also think of something valuable for next time, maybe more valuable than now.
No, it was great. Thank you.
Thank you.